good morning again. Thank you very much for your patience. Welcome to the public seminar on enhancing global engagement with Myanmar, organized by the Faculty of Political Science, Chulalongkorn University, Nelson Mandela Center for Conflict Resolution, Atrocity Prevention, and Human Security with the support from the Hanns Seidel Foundation. We are very honored to have Mr. 𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐻 with us, the ASEAN Project Manager from the Hanns Seidel Foundation, to give opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kasira. A warm welcome. Good morning here to our public seminar on enhancing global engagement with Myanmar. This is a seminar series, as Dr. Kasira said, between the Nelson Mandela Center and the Hanns Seidel Foundation. We have a very, I would say, also unique cooperation where we support a dialogue between Thailand and Myanmar on an academic dialogue. We support Myanmar and Thai students, lecturers, and professors to exchange opinions. And this public seminar is part of it, part of different training initiatives that we do together. My name is 𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐻 and I represent the Hanns Seidel Foundation. The Hanns Seidel Foundation is one of the German political foundations, and we engage both with Thailand and with Myanmar as well. So this is how this all came together, and we're very happy today to have Dr. Fuadi Pitsuwan with us today, talking on the global engagement with Myanmar, but of course also delving into some of the different topics around Myanmar, how to deal with Myanmar. Dr. Fuadi has a lot of knowledge, has done not only research, but of course also engaged with a lot of the Myanmar actors. So we're very excited to hear his points of view on how this global engagement looks at present. How does ASEAN take on this? Yeah, we've just had the ASEAN summits as well, where there was a lot of discussions, of course, on the situation in Myanmar, but also, you know what I mean, how does this reflect back to the world? We have a political juncture, I would say, coming up in Myanmar. There is a proposed election on the 28th of December. Yeah, there's, of course, a lot of controversies around this election. In terms of the legitimization of this election. And of course, we're going to hear your points of view as well, Dr. Fuadi, on this part. And of course, also how this is perceived globally within the region, within the neighborhood of Myanmar, within the neighborhood of Thailand, how to deal with this. And what does this mean eventually, we should say this as well, for the people of Myanmar. Yeah, what does this mean for the conflict? What does this mean for the pro-democratic actors that I would say not even majority, all of the pro-democracy actors are against this election, because the election does not have the grounds to be fair and free in that sense. Yeah, it is also, as it was communicated, a phased election. There is the phase 1 of the election. So there is also unsureness what is with phase 2, phase 3. How long actually does all of this election go? So we're very excited, Dr. Fuadi, to listen to your presentation, but also, of course, to have then a discussion with you. We have, of course, people here in the seminar, but there's also a lot of people joining online. So just to raise awareness of that we have an online audience, and we will look after the online audience also then to give your feedback as well. But I'll hand back to Dr. Kasira and then to the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. 𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐻. So as Mr. Munz has already mentioned, Myanmar's relationship with the world actually has been very volatile since the coup in 1962, and global engagement with Myanmar has varied, influenced actually by norms du jour consisting of both carrots and sticks. Even before Myanmar admission to ASEAN in 1997, leaders have been toying with the concept of constructive engagement actually proposed by Thailand. And regional engagement after most recent coup in 2021 came in the form of, for example, 5-point consensus, appointing special envoy and troika with varying success again. So with Myanmar's proposed election approaching, it remains to be seen really whether strong convincing is needed and what it should be. So we are very glad indeed to have Dr. Fuadi Pitsuwan here with us to help answer the difficult questions. Dr. Fuadi is now a lecturer in international relations at Faculty of Political Science, Thammasat University, and also the president of the Fuadi Pitsuwan Foundation. So the format will just give the floor to Dr. Fuadi for around an hour or so, and then we'll open the floor for Q&A. And of course, I'll be monitoring some questions coming through the Zoom meeting chat as well. So please, Dr. Fuadi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for showing up really early. A lot of pressure for me to speak logically. So I was given a topic, enhancing global engagement with Myanmar. A very difficult topic that I try to conceptualize. But, Kun Anand told me, Kun Anand is a former prime minister, told me that, Fuadi, when you get asked a question, just answer whatever way you want it. Don't need to care about the question. So I try to touch up on this topic a little bit, but I will also touch about other things that I think are important and that I have been following as well. So I have different terms. If you look at the bottom of the title, policy voids, emerging statelets, shifting trade routes, and new capital. We'll go through them one by one. And that will be in the table of content today, right? The first one is we'll look at different foreign policy toward Myanmar and how they map out in the foreign policy framework that I developed. This is an original work. If you have followed my talks before, this is an updated version, a little bit more comprehensive. And then we go through how I think Myanmar is shifting and how the rest of the world, including Thailand and ASEAN, has out to see Myanmar going forward. And then third, we talk about a new trade route. We talk about a strategic province in southern Thailand that is emerging to be a pivotal area and place for engagement with Myanmar. And fourth, this is also an original work. I'm engaging in some research with some professor and PhD student in Chiang Mai, trying to measure economic and input and contribution of Myanmar new migrant within Chiang Mai. I really think that I term it new capital, which means either new human capital and actually new capital of Myanmar. I think it's Chiang Mai, not Naypyidaw, not Yangon anymore, right? So I think it's a lot of opportunity. So for the 4 topics, interconnected, but also separated. First one, if you think of foreign policy in general, I think if you are going to develop a framework of how to think through how foreign policy can be thought of, right? I think there are 2 axes that I come up with. First one, if you look at below, right? First is optics. Optics can be low, right? A policy can be highly visible or not very visible. It can be low. It can be high, right? Low would mean you do nothing, right? You stay away from it. That could be low optics, right? And then high means you talk a lot about it, very visible about it. But foreign policy can also be, you can measure it on the level of intervention that it has. Is it highly interventive, right? Interventionist, or it has low intervention. So think of it this way, a 4-quadrant, 2x2 metrics. A foreign policy can have high optics, low intervention, high intervention, right? And if you map foreign policy toward Myanmar into these quadrants. Quiet diplomacy. This is during Dawn's Prayut period, right? Work behind the scene. Basically, is almost do nothing approach, right? Low in optics and not very effective in terms of bringing about change in Myanmar. Ajahn Kasira talk about constructive engagement. This concept actually can be broken down into further levels, I think. The correct term when you talk about constructive engagement, this I would refer to during the Chachai era. This is following the modernization theory, right? You engage Myanmar economically and you hope one day that it would open up, it will liberalize, right? as level of income, GDP increases. So it doesn't really affect political change as much, which hopefully down the line, but it is highly visible. Chachai announced เปลี่ยนสนามรบเป็นสนามการค้า on the context of Cambodia, Myanmar, countries around Thailand, right? Constructive engagement. So to be specific, constructive engagement means modernization theory. Engage, trade economically. This is in the 1980s, right? In Thailand, and it's not what you call mutually exclusive. It's still ongoing. I still think we still adopt this approach, right? Constructive engagement. But then in 1997, there was a Cambodian coup. Anwar Ibrahim came up with this term in the Cambodian context, but I put it here because I think it shows how inventive, how progressive it was back then. Malaysia proposed this idea in 1997 that ASEAN ought to go into Cambodia and help stabilize the country. He called it constructive intervention, 1997. But then countries in ASEAN reject that. I thought it was too progressive, too interference. So we dumb it down, right? And then Thailand came along in 1998. This is my late father's idea. Only if the Philippines accepted his idea, he called it flexible engagement. This was the idea that ASEAN countries should be able to speak about issue in one country if that issue affect another country. This was in the context of Myanmar refugee, Myanmar migrants into Thailand along the borders, came into influx into Ranong, Mae Sot, Mae Hong Son, Tak, Chiang Mai, you know. If issue in another country along Thai borders affect us, we should be able to say something. That was flexible engagement, right? Table it, talk about it openly. That was still too progressive for ASEAN back then in 1998. Then we dumb it down to what is called enhanced interaction in 1999. And that is what was adopted, right? So if you look at it from very high intervention, high optics, it dropped down, right? So I map it. So in the end, only enhanced interaction was left, was what was agreed on in 1999. And then what else should we talk about here? And R2P, this was Bernard Kouchner's idea. Bernard Kouchner was foreign minister in 2008 of France. He was the founder of Médecins Sans Frontières. This was in the context of Cyclone Nargis. The French, the Europeans were quite free back then, right? They would pay a lot of attention to ASEAN, to Southeast Asia, and say, hey, your people are dying, Myanmar people are dying. If state cannot do anything, we should invoke R2P and send warships to help Myanmar people. That was Bernard Kouchner's idea. That was highly interference, right? Very high optics. I put armed invasion here as a placeholder, a proxy for you to understand. So the most highly interfering and highly public, highly visible would be armed invasion, right? On the other side, high intervention but low in optics would be covert support for regime change, right? So you can understand the maximum end of each quadrant. I group all the statements under quite low in optics, high in optics, but quite low in intervention, right? Medium intervention. There's some hope for change, but it's still statement after all. So I group them all here. 5-point consensus started here. I think there was some hope for intervening. And I think it's still important enough that it is a license to intervene, right? I think that's why it's still very important, quite an achievement for ASEAN to adopt something like that. Cyclone Nugget's response from Bernard Kouchner proposal in 2008 to R2P, we ASEAN went in. So I put it here, a medium range intervention, right? But also highly visible. And then empty seat policy. This is when ASEAN countries stopped inviting political representation of Myanmar to ASEAN meeting. So quite medium level intervention. And quite high in terms of optics. China monitoring mission. This is in Shan State in northern China now. China have sent teams. There are news leaks about it, so we have seen traces of it. Quite important intervention from China. Troops, people on the ground inside another sovereign state. So quite important to take note of that. Lastly, Thailand buffer policy. This was during Prem in the 80s as well. This is when we consciously help our Myanmar ethnic groups, ethnic minority along the Thai borders as a buffer against the Tatmadaw, right? We were supplying food, arms to Myanmar policy. So not quite visible, but actually quite interventionist policy. So you can map them all here, right? And I think it is very interesting. The next slide, I took away those policies that actually are hypothetical. It was announced, but actually not deliver or not live up to. So I took away constructive intervention. I took out a principle of non-interference. This was during Saifuddin in 2023. He adopted this from African Union idea, right? We cannot stay still if there is genocide, if there is crime against humanity. So this was Malaysia, very progressive proposal. But that did not took place either. So I took it off, right? So I took off principle of non-interference. I took off constructive intervention. I took off flexible engagement. What else did I take off? A few other ones, which you will see that there is a voice space here now, right? ASEAN have a lot of good ideas, proposal that did not last. And I also moved down 5-point consensus, right? 5-point consensus from being quite intervening, quite interfering, to I keep pressing the wrong button, to something below, right? When it actually materialized, it's much less interventionist than actually originally planned. The sanction, US, EU, UK, targeted sanction, I also move it down, right? It was hoped to be quite interfering, and then I drop it down to a little bit below, right? And in Japan, play both sides, right? I didn't talk about this yet. Help the EROs as well, and also work with the military as well. So I put it here, quite medium in everything, quite. So what you can see is there's a void space now, right? What actually materialized actually is not highly interfering and not highly visible. And also there's a void space here, except Thailand former buffer policy in the 80s during the Prem era. So what we need is actually some policy in these two quadrants here that would actually work, right? Stick with it. That's the lesson learned here, that we don't have anything that actually will really bring about change that is still active right now, except maybe the sanction from US, UK. So there is a void, empty space here. So my proposal from this logic, from this white space here, and also on this side, except buffer policy, is that we need something more progressive that would actually last, that actually could deliver. A lot of policy idea was proposed during this, for the past 2-3 decades at least, in this area, in this quadrant, in these two quadrants, but nothing really stay and materialize. I want to talk a little bit about Bernard Kouchner's idea about R2P. I think the major hurdle in any progress we could make at the ASEAN level on Myanmar has a lot to do with the fact that the situation in 2008 with Nargis and now are completely different with regards to how R2P, the presence of R2P rhetoric discourse in the region. During Nargis in 2008, that was we had no war yet, right? The Western world were not preoccupied with geopolitics, with war in Ukraine. U.S. Did not retrench yet. The Chinese were less active in UNSC. Russia was not as empowered yet. There was no narrative, no discourse of sovereignty, different kind of rights being proposed within the UN. So it was a good cop and bad cop strategy, right? This was during the Nargis. The Western world was very much pressuring Thein Sein and Than Shwe to open up the country, right? If you don't open up, we will invade, basically. Use R2P as a pretext to save the people of Myanmar. But fast forward to 2021 until now, that discourse, that narrative coming out from the West is absent. In 2008, when that happened, ASEAN became the good cop of Myanmar, of Thein Sein and Than Shwe, right? Thein Sein and Than Shwe turned to ASEAN leaders, George Yeo, Hassan Ryayuda, my late father, Buster Robert Chua, all went to Thein Sein to say, hey, are you gonna let the French invade you and save the people, or are you gonna let us, who are your friends from ASEAN, help you? And in the end, Myanmar opened up and let ASEAN work with ASEAN on this issue. But with 2021 crisis until now, that good cop and bad cop role is absent, right? The Western world is completely preoccupied with something else. ASEAN is very busy trying to fix its own houses, particularly Thailand with instability in the country, with economic issue in the country, cannot focus as much as before. So that there was R2P as a nudge during Nargis, but that is completely absent now. But it's not without hope. With the last summit and the last several months or so, I hope, I see some hope and I see some movement. If you look at the statement of the latest ASEAN summit at the end of October, there is a mentioning of ASEAN long-term envoy now. The problem with the idea of special envoy of ASEAN now is that it changes following every chair. Next one will be the Philippines. Currently will be Malaysia. Before this was Laos and Indonesia, right? So not very continuous. So there has been a lot of lobbying, a lot of proposal to make that term last longer, at least 3 to 5 years, so that an issue when someone, so that the work can be continuous. You don't need to build a new network again and can follow the same agenda. So Malaysia has been trying to push for that. Not so successful yet. Every working level people following Myanmar agree that that has to happen. But Malaysia are waiting for all the ASEAN members to agree on this to be able to push forward. I don't know if it will be agree on time before the Philippines took over by the early next year. So that remains to be seen. But at least there is a recognition that there has to be a longer special envoy. And I know Thailand is thinking about submitting its own personnel to be for that post. Whether the rest of ASEAN will accept Thai candidate remain to be seen. Another positive development that we can hold our hope towards is the fact that it's actually happened on the other borders of Thailand, right? If you look at the recent agreement that came out, Thailand actually agreed to an ASEAN observer team to monitor Thai-Cambodian border. Thailand, as a country who has been independent during the colonial era, has never been colonized, is very xenophobic, very fearful of foreign intervention. In 2011, Indonesia was trying to push for the same idea, sending ASEAN observer to help monitor who start firing first, to monitoring ceasefire agreement so people don't break the peace plan. Thailand, this time around, with pressure from international community, with other stakeholders, Thailand actually agree on it. But the AOT on Thai side and Cambodian side are different. Thailand agree on the fact that it cannot be uniform people. And those monitoring team, those observers will have to be attached to the embassy in Bangkok, the ASEAN embassy in Bangkok. On the Cambodian side, they can wear uniform and it can be from outside personnel being sent in, right? So different conceptualization, different level of comfortability of AOT, ASEAN Observer Team, along Thai-Cambodian border. But it is a big precedent. It is a big achievement for ASEAN actually to actually have come up with something like this and both countries to agree with. It hasn't happened before. And this revived the discussion of something similar. On the other slide, we talk about ASEAN China monitoring team, right? And this actually create a pretext of something similar, whether something of ASEAN monitoring team, monitoring mission could happen in Myanmar, in southern part, along the Karenni area, or other parts where China Marine Team is not operating. Can ASEAN be involved in some of the monitoring mission of the ceasefire there? And Malaysia has already tabled this in different working level. Hasn't really gone up to the summit level yet, but discussion is in place about some of this idea, which is actually gives some hope of something more concrete. The idea of ASEAN peacekeeping operation has been mooted at least since 2010, 2011, right? ASEAN should have its own peacekeeper to actually take care of situation in another country. The fact that Thailand and Cambodia can agree on AOT makes the discussion on ASEAN monitoring mission in Myanmar becoming alive again, and also make me think that maybe eventually the idea of ASEAN peacekeeping force may not be so foreign. I have written about this since 2011, and people have said it's too early, right? And the fact that it's not its time yet. That was almost 15 years ago. And along the way, Malaysia, Indonesia brought up some of this idea. But the fact that AOT actually can be agreed on, it is in jeopardy a little bit. It is being challenged a little bit with the current suspension of the peace plan. But at least something was agreed on. And I think that creates some hope is something more for something more institutionalized conflict resolution, monitoring, peacekeeping operation within ASEAN. So it is very important, very positive development happening in ASEAN. Also, in the most recent summit, there was a proposal to send ASEAN election observer team to monitor ASEAN, to monitor Myanmar election towards the end of this year, early next year. But I was also told that Thailand is actually quite reluctant of sending observer, agreeing to the observer plan. Some of you who may have more intel on this than me, but this is what I was briefed on. So it's quite interesting. Maybe Thailand is starting to shift its stance towards election. There was a big assumption that Thailand would welcome and would accept. That is becoming unclear now, but based on the information intelligence coming from the latest ASEAN summit. That remains to be seen. What kind of statement Thailand would issue towards the election? Will Thailand agree to it? Will Thailand eventually agree to send observer? But I was told that Thailand was quite uncomfortable of sending ASEAN observer, Thai observer to monitoring election in Myanmar, which is quite a big shift, I think, if that is true. And then we have the election at the end of the year, which will be a major test for the Philippine chairmanship, right? Election will happen on 28th of December, but it will not be over until early next year. Next, that's World Policy Review and some updates on ASEAN and front. Next is something also very important that I want to encourage all of you to follow, and this is the everyday discussion now in Thailand. It's the fact that we should be seeing Myanmar differently, below the level of government to government, right? I think at the working level, officials, when I meet with my friends in different institutions within Thailand, we all think alike now that Myanmar is not a unitary state and we should not treat it as such. Treating Myanmar as a single entity is not the correct way of understanding Myanmar now. ICG uses this term called statelets, and this is the term that I like. There is a professor at UBC, University of British Columbia, Professor 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐚𝐴 actually was the first person who told me about this term. I was struggling to explain how to conceptualize Myanmar, the way that it's morphing, progressing, right? It's federalizing, it's becoming its own mini empire, mini states now with some capacity to self-govern. Ajahn 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐚𝐴 told me that there's a term for that. It's called statelets. And I went back to find out that ICG report already used this term. Statelets are mini states, a self-functioning entity that is not full state yet, right? But emerging into different entities. And I think this is what we are seeing Myanmar. And we should treat Myanmar that way. A policy that is focused on central regime only will fail to reach millions of people and ignore legitimate governance system that is happening on the ground. So this is the definition of statelets, and I really hope if you go back and write your reports, talk to your colleagues, we need to build this narrative together, right? I think I really encourage you to use this term to describe Myanmar. Statelets, a regional that is not central government, right? But the fact that SSPC has lost control already, the non-state body now, sub-state body are providing government and public services. And these are usually led by EROs, right? Have been involved more from armed groups into political body now, acting as de facto government in some of these areas and providing state function, providing security, collecting taxes, providing public administration, providing service like health, education. There have been a term that have been used to describe bottom-up federalism. It's quite similar to that, right? From the ground, not central state as a focus, but starting from many states coming together to form a federal state. Bottom-up federalism, similar to statelets. But I really hope to throw this term into the discourse or with how we see Myanmar, and I hope we can continue to describe Myanmar that way. For example, the current state, which is across from Mae Hong Son, has now established 12 government department now. They have begun collecting tax since August 2024. They have been using those tax revenue to provide public services, fund public services like education, healthcare, repair on different area for their population. This is IEC, they call themselves Interim Executive Council, has a lot of female mixture in there too. 33% of the decision-making level personnel are women, right? Women are quite involved in the decision-making process, right? There are local elections. So they have set up these units trying to becoming statelets, trying to becoming a self-governing entity at the moment. And these are some picture of public service that they build bridges, right? I think probably dig some well, they are adjusting some land area, land surveying services, right? For the people. So some of these movement, some of these building up of capacity are taking place within several states in Myanmar, with currently being close to Thailand, the current in different area are also operating similarly. And this had a lot of implication, right? For the international community, we really need to reorient our work towards these emerging pluralistic state or statelets, right? By recognizing ERO as de facto governance body, engaging them directly, or at least coordinate. Maybe some ministry, a formal ministry, foreign ministry in Thailand in particular may not be so comfortable recognizing EROs openly, but at least different entities within Thailand, the international community, the rest of the world need to come together to assign role who will talk to these EROs, to engage, to help support them so they can take care of themselves. The logic, the old modus operandi of government to government no longer works. China is already operating on this dual track, right? Sending monitoring mission, helping some states in the north becoming more self-governing, right? Japan is already doing that dual track policy. ASEAN needs to do the same. ASEAN needs to think like that. Needed to have a way coordinate on sub-state engagement, sub-state non-G2G, below G2G level engagement with Myanmar. And Thailand is, I feel, is moving toward that direction. At least the working people are, when we come to Thailand together, we all agree that should be the way forward. Whether we can convince our decision-making level elite remain to be seen. But those who work on Myanmar every day see eye to eye on this and subscribe to this logic. And also, what's another point that is very important is that, you know, Thailand and the rest of the world usually see these EROs and resistant insecurity lens, right? Insecurity terms. But it's really important to also view them in terms of economic development as well, in terms of through the lens of economic development, because Thailand and the rest of the world, international community have a choice. Are we going to suppress the emergence of these ethnic groups, trying to become a body institutionalized, to become a self-governing body entity within certain area? Or are we going to help them build capacity and take care of themselves, right? I think Thailand has a choice, and I have been talking to different top economists in Thailand to actually help plan economic development of these states along Thai border, because if these states are stabilized, it will be good for Thailand too. And I think they might be buying it. So I hope we can see some assistance from Thailand to help our current friend think about how to think about economic development in their area. This is a wrong spelling here. Damage should be managed, right? If rare earths is properly managed, it could be a path to better economic development. And this is how I really see it. I asked my Kachin friend, my current friend, whether you see this is as a path to your development, and they say yes. And they are not close to it. They don't see it as if it as totally disrupting, degrading to the environment. They see this as an opportunity as well. And I really would welcome the international community, mining firm from, you know, other developed country could probably manage these rare earth mine better than what is going on right now. The Thai firms have better standards. I think we ought to look at this as an opportunity to help Myanmar friends across border from Thai side, our ethnic minority friends, in terms of helping them develop economically as well, right? If it's better managed, can be managed, I think it will be a win-win. How do we treat them properly? How do we create fair business practices that still respect environment as much as possible? I think is the way forward for some of these region. And Thailand has a choice, really. Are we gonna provide assistance to them, helping these ERO build up capacity, or are we gonna continue to suppress them, right, and engage only with the central authority? I think the answer should be the fact that we see opportunity in this for Thai economy. We see opportunity in this for economy on the other side. And we see that if they are economically stabilized and can secure themselves, it will be good for Thailand. Thirdly, right, I am not sure if you have been following this, but there is exciting, challenging development happening in Thailand on the western front of Thailand, right? That is the development, the rise of Ranong port. If you don't live in Thailand long enough, you may not know where Ranong is, but it is a city, a province on the Andaman Sea coast, on the western part of Thailand, very close to Myanmar. And it has a port, and the only commercial port owned by the Thai government on the Andaman Sea. It is rapidly transforming from a secondary border crossing point, very small compared to 𝐵𝐸𝐻, still quite small, but rapidly evolving and developing, right, into a primary strategic logistic hub for Thailand with BIMSTEC country, with country like Myanmar, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, right? And it's not a gradual shift because the situation along 𝐵𝐸𝐻 area, close down the checkpoint, borders, fighting in 𝐵𝐸𝐻 area. Ranong is quickly becoming a rapid response, becoming an answer to solve the problem, the uncertainty along the checkpoints in Tak and 𝐵𝐸𝐻, right? Becoming a very viable alternative. And I hope all of us interested in Myanmar could follow its development. So Ranong Port is number 8, right? Number 3 is Lam Chabang. Number 6 is 𝐄𝐧𝐡𝐚�𝐥, right? 7 is Songkhla. Ranong is number 8. So if you look, this is in 2023, super small, very, very small, right? Number 8. Compared to Singapore, compared to Lam Chabang, this is in million TEU, 20-foot equivalent. So total in 1 year, we only deal with this is 2,000, right? 0.002 million TEU, 2,000 basically. This is 8 million. This is how small Ranong Port was in 2023. But because of 𝐵𝐸𝐻 was responsible for 58% of Thai-Myanmar border, right, was shut down in August 2028, facing a lot of uncertainty, right? There's a physical risk, 20 to 30 checkpoint on AH1 to send goods to Myanmar, despite the fact that it should take one day actually from sending goods from 𝐵𝐸𝐻 to Yangon, but a lot of checkpoint becoming very, very expensive to send goods from Thailand to Yangon, becoming very unsafe, unpredictable. And the government is trying to centralize everything in 𝐵𝐸𝐻 as well. So a lot of risks there. All right, all goods going through the border cross-port in 𝐵𝐸𝐻 will be subjected to very highly investigation and checks, right? So a lot of impact. The fact that there's a need to an urgent need for a more stable, secure, formalized trade route. So this is pushing exporters to abandoning this high risk land border and exploring Ranong as an alternative. And Ranong is quite attractive now, right? The traditional trade route takes 14 to 21 days if we leave from Lam Chabang to go to Myanmar, right? It takes a long time, but now Ranong only take 3 days. Still longer than 𝐵𝐸𝐻. 𝐵𝐸𝐻 should take 1 day, right? But a lot of payments along the borders and not very stable. But Ranong to Yangon only take 3 days, quite fast in terms of sea transit. And there are companies operating those ports already, right? There are also Myanmar company, Thai company trying to provide logistics. It's active now and running now with its own shipping line, right? So it offers, speed and security and predictability compared to Myanmar land route. This is Ranong port now, still very small compared to Lam Chabang and other bigger ports in Thailand, but rapidly, quickly developing. And this was the first shipment of maize from Myanmar, right? Coming into dock in July 2024 to Ranong port. And if you look at this, 2024 versus 2028, nothing, very minimum activities before July 2024. And then when the decision was made to use Ranong port, jump up by a lot. And in 2025, from October until September, a lot of activities, if you notice, right, jump up by a lot. And this is on the left is 2024. If you look at container is blue, light blue here. The data is not very good from the, but it's very small, right? In 2024, but the number of shipping containers increased by a lot. The green is the exploration boat, right? Because of the concession oil exploration in the region. So those ships also dock in Ranong as well. But you can see the shift from 2024 to 2025 of the amount of shipping containers, container lines docking at Ranong port increased by quite a significant margin, significant number. In the type of goods, we export a lot of electrical wires, functional drinks, right? Red Bulls, and we export a lot from Ranong port. Paper roll, cement, sanitary ware, fertilizer, plastic pallets, car tires. Right? This is the latest shipment of export from Ranong. Imports, maize, a lot of maize. The majority are maize from Myanmar. With some lead. I don't know for what, but I was looking at the data, a few container of lead coming into Ranong port. But the Ranong port is not just for Myanmar, right? The Thailand just in September made an announcement, Laos Ranong port project, because it will connect Thailand to the rest of the BIMSTEC nation, right? From China, Laos to Thailand to Myanmar, but also it would take 4 days to get to Bangladesh, 6 days to get to India, 6 days to get to Sri Lanka. It's the fastest route from Thailand to other countries in South Asia. And this was in September, just very recently. BIMSTEC stood for Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectorial Technical Economic Cooperation. Very, very difficult. But it stands for basically Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Thailand, Myanmar, right? So these countries are in an economic cooperation group. And this was launched, right? The big ceremony. There is a Myanmar company, Everflow River Group, being involved in this. And also a few Thai companies helping operate this port as well. But there's still a challenge. It's still a very small port. A big challenge one is a big bottleneck, right? So you cannot switch all trade from Masod, from land base to this yet. Capacity needs to increase, and there are plans to increase these. The second challenge is still Myanmar is trying to control these imports by issuing licenses, right? There are 3,000 non-sensitive items that doesn't need license, but these are like live poultry, something not very important. But the important goods, like sensitive items, right? Food, machinery, chemical, are still highly controlled. So the fact that it actually may take 3 days to get the container to Yangon, but it could take 2 to 3 months to clear. So it's still quite a bit of a hurdle, right? And Myanmar government is still trying to control these entry point still. But it has a lot of implication on the EROs and opposition as well. What does that mean? That means being able to tax goods along the AH1, right? That would help finance funding for the EROs in terms of fighting, in terms of developing local capacity, public services will be more difficult if the trade route is shifted to be focused in Ranong right now, which means the EROs opposition will have less political leverage diminishing military might because of less funding, less tax can be collected. The 𝐾𝐧𝐿 and currently in particular, may be bypassed economically, right? Could put pressure on them to eventually agree to ceasefire if they have no other option. Some of the group may need to resort to more illicit trade, illicit goods to keep their capacity alive. They may be forced from China to agree and Myanmar to agree on ceasefire now, right? With just because the fact that they are being bypassed, right? And also 𝐵𝐷 as a diaspora humanitarian hub. If less goods are being flow through it, what would that mean to the activist NGO community in 𝐵𝐷, right? 𝐵𝐷 political relevance will wane, right? The focus will now be in Ranong and maybe Chumphon. Chumphon is on the Thai, the port on the Gulf of Thailand side. So a lot of dynamic happening. The question in the next several years, will 𝐵𝐷 political relevance be diminished, right? That remains to be seen. Lastly, this is a new study as well that I'm engaging with two colleagues in Chiang Mai University. We're doing a study on contribution of new Myanmar migrants into Chiang Mai. It's being sponsored by 𝐰𝐢𝐴. I work with Ajahn Siarada and a PhD student, Nuwa, in CMU on this, because Chiang Mai is quickly becoming a new capital of Myanmar, both literally and also not literally as well, right? I mean, a lot of Myanmar diaspora there, a lot of human resources for Thailand to tap on, right? Have long been a place to seek safe haven for our Myanmar colleagues, usually in the past dominated by low-skilled labor in agriculture and tourism, but then a lot of influx, which is very different now, a lot of influx from higher skill, middle-class, professional student entrepreneurs now. And it is shaping economic and social landscape in Chiang Mai. So we're doing a study on these middle-class migrants. So far, we have done 134 interviews with these new incomers and also with Thai business as well, right? And local authority and hospitals. And this is a public data. If you look at this, Myanmar university student in Thailand, since after the coup, a big jump from 2000 something in 2021 to over 12,000 students now in Thailand. And within Chiang Mai, this is also the data from Chiang Mai University in Chiang Mai area. We did not count 𝐵𝐷 𝐴 and 𝐵𝐷 𝐴 is in Chiang Rai, which is a lot of Myanmar students too. But this is only in Chiang Mai. 1,600 active student in Chiang Mai now. So more than 10% of total Myanmar student in Thailand are in Chiang Mai. And this wave of migration is different. It's not low skill anymore, right? More educated, more semi-skilled digital professional in the post-coup migration come into Thailand via education and business visa, right? Most common. And their presence fit very well with Chiang Mai, the digital nomad lifestyle, Thai middle class consumption, and really significantly increased after 2022, 2021, after post-coup era. And how do we define middle class, right? We went to interview with different people who we define as middle class, skilled, self-employed, engaged in bachelor degree or higher, or formally enrolled in this university, right? With moderate income, or some of them also identify themselves as business owner as well. And we have estimated that there are 6,000 of these individuals in Chiang Mai. Likely to be an underestimate. But with the survey, people that we have interviewed so far, their main motivation, political repression, forced conscription and safety. The pull factor, education, family business, and community network. 69% cited safety as the main reason. 46% arrive following the conscription, right? Not right away after the coup, but because the Myanmar announced conscription. So 46% arrive after 2024. So this is 2024 is orange. 2025 is blue here, right? Darker blue. So 9 plus 37 is 46% came after 2024. And their consumption pattern, they spend quite a bit on rent, food, transportation. I think a few of you on Zoom call and in this room probably are among those target middle class group, right? And they own properties too. A lot of them own motorcycles, right? And then some own apartments as well. They pay tuition fee, 50,000 to 70,000 baht per semester. And over half of those interviewed actually prefer private hospital. So the argument that with Myanmar American put burden on public services is only half true, because only half of those actually prefer and can actually afford to go to private hospitals. And a lot of them own businesses as well. At least 97 new businesses, mostly restaurant, since 2021. A lot in 2024. That's when the highest amount of influx come in. And 95% of those actually source goods from Thai supplier. So they are actually contributing to the economy, right? All these restaurants. It's not like they buy vegetables from Myanmar, but also buy from Thai supplier as well. Also pay rent. The average rent that they pay 31,000 baht. Pay utility as well, right? To the utility companies in Thailand and contribute. We are paying VAT, paying income tax. So a lot of contribution of these businesses to Chiang Mai economy. But there is an issue, right? Because they cannot perform openly, use their skill in the right way because of the visa limitation. A lot of them come in as student visa, so they cannot really work legally, right? The semi-skilled migrant have helped work not super legally in hospital, in hospitalities, in foreign-run business. And when interview these guys, who plan to be here for the long term, have planned to open businesses in accordance with their skill. There are a lot of corruption too. The big hurdle to this is that this visa issue, visa restriction have pushed the business registration to be under Thai nominees. So we miss a lot in terms of counting real contribution of these Myanmar businesses, right? A lot of corruption. Some of them have to pay 6,000 baht per month to local authorities to keep their business alive, their visa alive. So even legal ones, successfully register, still have to pay these bribes, right? It's one person described it. This is a license for the official to corrupt. So this informal economy is big, but the fact that it is still informal actually prevent Thailand from collecting tax, from being from formalized, or from understanding the real benefit of these contribution. We also interviewed the hospitals and as well, and the hospitals say that actually Myanmar people are the largest foreign clients. 23 to 30% of hospital foreign clients in these hospitals are actually from Myanmar. We interview immigration bureau, and then they say that these migrants actually boost corruption. Yes, boost consumption and stability as well. We talk with the Chamber of Commerce, who see these SMEs actually helping as well, and they also benefit from labor, from skill set of these new Myanmar migrants as well. And the local businesses actually are quite positive, right? Myanmar see Myanmar customer as reliable, polite, non-threatening compared to Chinese investor. Quite clear contrast. A lot of businesses prefer to work with Myanmar customer rather than Chinese customer. Quite apparent in that sense. There's a lot of policy implication here. This is the last slides now. We need to recognize middle class migrants as development asset, not just refugee, right? That could be helpful for Thailand. We take good care of them. They help contribute to our economy. They pay taxes and can help Thailand as well. We need to simplify their visa pathway. If they want to start business, to work here, to those who are highly skilled, if they want to stay in Thailand, they should be able to, because they can really help build the economy, not just in Chiang Mai, but in Thailand as well. The regulatory need to be clearer, need to be more transparent to reduce corruption, reduce informal payments, which if successfully formalized, then we can see these fiscal benefit, contribution, and protection of labor more clearly. So in summary, I touch upon 4 distinct topics. First, we review the world policy toward Myanmar, and I gave some updates on the ASEAN side of how things are developing. I encourage everyone to think of Myanmar not as a unitary state, a monolith, but emerging statelets, right? Sub-state below G2G level, and we out to help these statelets improve their capacity so they can take care of themselves. So when they are stabilized, when they are economically growing, it will be good for Thailand. Thailand will have less issue to worry about. We discuss the rise of Thailand, Newport, Ranong as a strategic point, province for engagement with Myanmar. Still a lot of challenge, need to build capacity, but also already have a lot of implication on the EROs and their leverage. They can collect less taxes now if less goods flow through AH1. So this is a development to be followed, right? And we discuss a new research, preliminary data from talking to 130 individuals in Chiang Mai about how they see new Myanmar migrants who have real contribution to economic activities in Chiang Mai. And I think Thailand ought to embrace this and try to live and offer alternative pathway if they want to stay in Thailand, contribute to Thai economy. Thank you. Those are the 4 topics I touch on.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fuadi, for that very informative and thought-provoking presentation. I appreciate your clarifying about the genesis of constructive engagement as well, right? Because you're totally right that it began as a kind of Thailand's intention to increase engagement with neighboring countries, but I also find it interesting that the term kind of found its way to academic discourse and, ASEAN discourse as well, to kind of characterize broadly as an approach in dealing with external partners and stakeholders, and of course, their own partners. So I would like to take the privilege as moderator to just ask you a following up question, because I can't help but noticing that there's kind of vacuum at the end of the extreme of Q4 of low intervention, high optics, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if you consider efforts from Chair Secretary General of ASEAN ex officio capacity according to the ASEAN Charter, where would you put it, or could it be counted as belonging to the Q4?
You mean ASEAN chair?
Yes.
Prerogative, right? As in Malaysia, each chair,
Yeah.
me. It's an active role. Okay. Can we go back to the slide if possible? Yeah. So that. Okay. Go back. Go back quite far.
Because I just
Okay.
wondering what should be at the extreme end of Q4.
I think of it for actually, if you listen to my presentation 2 years ago and in Chiang Mai in Ajahn Chayan conference, I put the ASEAN statement here actually, but I feel I'm not too nice, so I bump it up. There is actually some effort to bring about some change, right? But I can see a lot of rhetoric. You can probably move some of the statement here, as in high optics, espousing change, chair statement, but actually no real. It depends on which chair as well, right? If it's a less developed chair, then maybe further down this in this quadrant. But Malaysian statement will probably be up here, right? I think a little bit more interventionist, yeah, or maybe here, yeah. I would put it there. I would put text-based goal here. But if you notice also, something I failed to point out is that all these idea, constructive intervention, flexible engagement, enhanced interaction, right? It's quite old. I mean, this is in the 90s, right? Late 90s. The only thing exciting that came out was from Malaysia, 2023. Principle of non-interference. This is by Foreign Minister Saifuddin, right? Very progressive, very pro NUG, to his own cost, to a lot of backlash. But we need more exciting ideas like that to push the agenda, to set the bar higher, right? This was a copycat of African Union. African Union has this clause in their charter, right? Non-interference. If we cannot sit still, yes, non-interference. But if there is crime against humanity, if there is genocide, country cannot sit still. So Saifuddin proposed this idea. But after 2023, we don't really see anything new. The current Thai foreign minister policy remains to be seen. The fact that I see some reluctance in Thailand sending observer to ASEAN probably mean that at least we are somewhere here. I think we are trying to do more, but still quite low in optics, right? But at least move to something more interfering, right? Trying not to endorse it. I would say, but remain to be seen how this government will put their bullets on this quadrants. Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we will open the floor for Q&A. So if any participants in the room would like to ask questions, please raise your hand. Okay, we might take
If you can introduce yourself and affiliation, that will help me.
we'll take a few first. So is there only one? Corinne, please go ahead. Thank you.
Hello. Oh yes. I have. Thank you, Ajahn, for your precise presentation. I have two questions to you. The first one is, currently ASEAN still prioritizes all-inclusive dialogue over a sham election of the military junta. But if the military junta proceeds with an election and found a fake quasi-civilian government similar to that of between 2011 and 2016, how would ASEAN respond? What do you think about it? In that case, may ASEAN pressure anti-junta democratic forces to return under the military junta-led facade political framework? Because what I'm worried is that in the past as well, although international community initially rejected 2010 sham election, but they finally accepted it when the time comes. So that's what I worried. That's what I would like to know, for the first question. And the second question is, if we look at the example of the conflict between Somalia and Somaliland, even the civil war was raging throughout Somalia. At that time, the Somaliland administration managed to govern their territory effectively and even they hold the election. But however, even after nearly 4 decades, the Somaliland has still not received any form of recognition, neither as an independent state nor as a fully acknowledged administrative entity. So what I would like to know for the second question is that even if Somaliland Administrative Authority has not been fully recognized, will there be any pragmatic possibility that the self-governing stateless of EAO could ever be accepted? Thank you for,
First question, I share something to you. First question, I think it really remains to be seen. I think ASEAN could take two paths. First is to set expectation. In order for us to endorse, election has to be 1, 2, 3, had to meet these criteria. And then it will be much easier to not endorse it and then to make a comment on it afterward. But I don't think ASEAN will go that route. But I would encourage NGOs, entities, I would encourage Western powers to actually think of that, right? Actually set up key criteria beforehand so that it's much easier for when it's all done to say that the criteria is not met, so we cannot endorse it, right? ASEAN would not do that, but I hope the rest of the world can. But I think you really have, for ASEAN and Thailand, I think you really need to look at the statement, whether it would come out as we are delighted or we congratulate, or it will say we note, we take note, we acknowledge that it happened, right? I think this is really important because it would signal the position. And then I think I myself is trying to, every panel, every meeting I go to, I try to lobby so that the Philippines, so that Thailand will not go all the way to say we congratulate, at least soften the endorsement to just, hey, it happened, we know it happened, but, we acknowledge, but I hope it stay at that. Whether it will be like that, I think it has to really wait for the different, the situation along during the election and what happened afterwards. But with the election as well, if you can show the slides, I came up with this conceptualization. It's quite academic, right? I think your position on election will fall into one of these quadrants. Right? We academic like to think in metrics and quadrant. So this is another quadrant, right? You either will fall into one of these four, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nah? You either endorse it and you actually hope that something will actually change, or you endorse it publicly, but you know that nothing will change, right? Or politically, you cannot endorse it and you don't believe in it, but secretly, you actually hope for some opening, right? Because the election is actually quite long. There may be some opening in some area. Is the transition to can Min Aung Hlaing actually consolidate power? Or you cannot endorse it, right? You won't endorse it and you actually no hope for change. This will be, the Western countries will probably think this, right? But I think a lot of us fall into this. Politically, we cannot endorse it. We don't believe. We know that it's sham, but secretly, you actually hope for some opening, some fissure, some gap in this transition so that an opportunity to go in to do something different. And I really hope the EROs and opposition will think that way, right? I know it's sham. You cannot endorse it, but you should fall into this quadrant that actually be ready if there is some opening, or you should have deep hope, deep down inside that there is an opening. And I think that is the way forward, right? Yeah, cannot endorse, it's going to be sham, but you never know whether there may be some gap. And Min Aung Hlaing may not be able to consolidate the same power as before, no matter how sure it is. You need to have 20% chance of hope, which means you fall into this category. And I think a lot of us secretly fall into this category, right? Cannot speak about this too publicly, but I fall into this category too, that I hope that there may be some change and we have to be ready for it. On Somaliland, I'm not familiar with that issue, so I will reserve my comment. But whether we can see the EROs being recognized officially or not, I'm not sure if that is the priority. I think the priority is the modus operandi, right? I have spoken about this on stage before. Is Thailand will change, Myanmar situation will change when Thai foreign ministry pick up the phone, and the other side doesn't have to be Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Myanmar junta, right? Until then, nothing will change. But it doesn't have to happen formally either. If the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not comfortable talking to the EROs, talking to the opposition, it can be other entities that get the mandate. But everyone needs to sit down, right? We can get the military special forces to talk to the ERO with an agenda, right? We want to help you develop economically. The Thai think tank faculty of economics here can talk to an economic planning team of the current state to help them plan. But it has to be coordinated, right? It doesn't have to be official, but at least the modus operandi within Thailand will have to change, will have to recognize. There has to be an emissary, an entity within Thailand that can operate, that can talk to the EROs on a daily basis if they need to. I think that is more important than the official recognition of ERO as a state or as statelets. Now it's already de facto statelets. I think Thailand ought to go in to help them develop their capacity, plan their economy, help them plan their mine, their rare earths mine concession, how to treat these mines fairly, right? The commission, how much percentage should go into local, how much profit these companies will make. And I encourage Western powers, Australia firm, to a Canadian firm to actually think about going in to this area and explore. I don't know if it's possible in the near future, but I do believe that these countries have higher standards when it comes to mining. So really out to plan and out to think more progressively on this. I asked one of the EROs in Myanmar, I cannot say who, but I said, you have come this far already, why don't you just declare independence? And then the answer was, if I declare independent, all the energy, all the forces of the junta will just focus on me and I would die. I will not, because so the maximum I can hope for is a federal state, right? And I think we ought to at least operate de facto that way. May not be an announcement, and it may not be good, but I think we ought to change our lens first, treat them as statelets, functioning, emerging, having an emerging capacity to deliver public service now, first. And second, to think of them not as a security threat or think of them through security lens and terms, but also look at them from economic development perspective that will benefit the people there and also can benefit Thailand and the rest of the world as well.
Thank you very much. We actually have a lot of questions sent in by Zoom. So Ajahn Fuadi can actually pick and choose because some of the participants said you can also pick, you don't have to answer all. And then we'll go to Kun Chalida later. Ka. So first off, 3 questions from August, and you can pick 1 or 2.
Okay, that's a lot of questions. I think I answered some of this already. There's a question on what can the international community do to help with humanitarian access, accountability, long-term political dialogue without legitimizing the military regime. I think the fact that we ought to treat statelets ERO as equal, right? And it may not have to be officially, but at least de facto wise, as a power broker in this conflict is really important, and looking to do something with them economic development, cross borders, more normalization of trade will be really important. And I think it is the way forward. And I think it is the only way forward. Yeah, some of these questions I already answer.
So next up from Ajahn Nirumon about the upcoming election.
On the upcoming fake election, left. I don't think we can do much with the legitimacy with the election. It will be sham. It will happen. It will happen, but it will be sham. It will not be legitimate. But I think the best way we could do is waiting for the opportunity, right? You cannot politically speaking endorse it because it's not right to do that. Normatively and substantially as well. If election can only happen in only a few area, not in area with state emergency, not comprehensive, no participation from legitimate opposition, then you cannot endorse it. But like I said, having that 20% readiness to see an opportunity, to see an opening, seize an opening on this when it happened is really important. There was an opening already, right? I think if you follow Myanmar enough for the period of 10 months from 2023 or during 2023, 2024, I think that's the high time for change. But we did not do anything to it, right? We did not support the ERO friends as much as we could. And now I think Myanmar military, Myanmar government has strengthened. And I think that opportunity may come back, but we really have to be ready for it when it comes again. And that could happen during election, right after election. It will not be smooth. I'm quite certain. Waiting for that right moment and think about the possibility, different scenarios to engage, to help our ethnic minority friends will be very important. Yeah.
Hello, may I say something because I have another meeting at
Okay. คุณชลิดา right?
yes.
Okay ครับ
Yes, Fuadi. I got information about the mock election. It's been organized by Japan Myanmar Future Conference and is organized and consult with 𝐵𝐲𝐻𝐻 Myanmar ambassador of the UN already, and they agree that on 16 to 30 November, they will start about the mock election with all of the Burmese outside the countries. Burmese in exile. They expect about 6 million of exile Myanmar people that will be vote for this. So if this mock election is success, so it means that it will be happen before the election of the junta. So it means that the Myanmar people show their interest and also they accepted of mock election than the junta election. I'm not so sure that this information is distributed to all of the Burmese in exile or not. But however, the ambassador is also said that they have the list of the Myanmar people in exile. But I also try very hard to communicate with Myanmar people who living as a housekeeper, house worker in Thailand. So many of them didn't know that. And some of them say that they need to translate English into Burmese language, into Karen, and also to Chan's language to contribute to many of the Burmese in Thailand. So this is some information that I would like to share with everyone. If this mock election is successful, so it means that the junta election in November is useless, nothing. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And I must leave. I thank you so much, Fuadi. Your analysis is wonderful. And I'm so sorry I must leave right now. I have another meeting on scammer victims. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Okay ครับขอบคุณครับ that's new. Are you aware of this? About parallel election. That is quite exciting. But the fact that we follow Myanmar and we don't know this, I think we need to make better public statement. I think it's a good approach. I think trying to showcase that there is a parallel, more legitimate, more accepting election plan, election pathway, I think it's a good strategy. It is to showcase that government outside, people who live outside, has legitimacy and has a capacity to do something like this. Will send a strong signal to the international community. But it is also a risk if only a few million turn out to vote, right? Then it may not look good with the legitimacy of it. So I think in the end, it comes down to the level of participation. How much you can PR, how much people can participate in this will be crucial to the legitimacy of this parallel election track. It's also interesting that you said, Kun Chalea said Japan is sponsoring, is helping it, which fits with their motto, right? A dual track, trying to play both sides. Which has been Japan modus operandi for a long time. So
I've booked the rest of the questions out via Zoom for Dr. Fuadi, so I hope he can deal with this briefly. So firstly, on Thailand's future role, the action for 5PC, how Thailand could also encourage long-term special envoy and the reluctance of Thai local authorities to deal with border state threats.
okay, I know that Thailand wants to submit a few candidates to be ASEAN long-term long-term envoy. I think the success of ASEAN will matter whether Thailand get the position or not, because Thailand has the most stakes, right? If it's Thailand, I think it will be more effective. But whether the Myanmar friends will trust that person remain to be seen. It depends on who that person is. But I really hope that the rest of the ASEAN member will look to Thailand and will start with Thailand as a permanent special envoy. It could be this current foreign minister too, because if he retire, right, I think he may be a good choice. It may be our former chief of defense force, who actually a few of us probably have interacted with him, who actually may be wearing military uniform. But actually, if we talk to him, he's quite progressive and his team has been engaging with a lot of EROs. So I hope one of those individuals will assume the role of ASEAN special envoy. But that depends on the rest of the 10 members now, plus Timor, whether they can come to a resolution to have a Thai person being a special envoy or not. There is some resistance. There is some argument that Thailand has a conflict of interest because we are too close to Myanmar. So other countries try to propose other citizens to be special envoys. So remain to be seen.
Basically,
Yep.
what do you think could be done to stop this vicious cycle of coup? And I quote, "It's all rings and repeat at this point."
You mean in Myanmar or in Thailand?
In Myanmar.
Oh,
Yeah, specifically in Myanmar.
I think authoritarian learn from each other. There was a quotation in Nikkei. There was a quotation in Nikkei Asia. It's a secondary. It's someone who talked to Min Aung Hlaing and spoke to Nikkei Asia that said, if Prayut was not in power, Min Aung Hlaing said Min Aung Hlaing would not have staged a coup. So I think if Thailand, while I cannot do anything much in Myanmar, but if we can fix Thailand, if Thailand can democratize, if Thailand can respect the will of the people, the vote of the people, I think it will help our Myanmar friends too. Right? I think then at least the military junta will have less options to lean on. If the next government can be more progressive, can ride on the legitimate wave of human rights, of democracy, stand firm on those grounds coming into the election, then Thailand will have another foreign policy to leverage. Right now, even this government cannot speak too openly, proudly about human rights, about democracy. But if it is a government that come clean from election, then we can actually talk in human rights terms, in liberal, progressive lens, rhetoric to our Myanmar friends, and then be a good example and hope for our Myanmar colleagues across the borders. But I would say that start with Thailand. If Thailand can fix ourselves, I'm not so certain that would take place. I mean, it doesn't have to be progressive government as long as wishes of Thai people can be respected. I think that goes a long way to our Myanmar friends already.
Last but not least, about R2P. So the participants ask, hasn't R2P already been used by some countries like US, China to deal with transnational crime-related issues?
They don't cite it. I think Myanmar, China is super reluctant about R2P. I think it is not the precedent that they want to set. But RTP has been used in Libya, for example, right? Has it invoked in Libya successfully? But when it comes to Syria, when it comes to area where great powers, the permanent five, have interest, then it usually get veto. And Myanmar issue, because China, because Russia see their stakes there, I don't think it will be invoked. But it could be used by rhetorically by the European to talk, to bring up this topic again as a leveraging tool, as a pressure point. That was how it worked in during the Nakis, right? Because of this strong rhetoric from Bernard Kouchner, founder of Medicine Sans Frontières, foreign minister of French, then talk in this term. Someone in the Western world needs to start talking about this, use this kind of rhetoric again, so that ASEAN can play the good cop and can raise the standards of their engagement with Myanmar. But I don't see that formally being invoked because of the changing nature of the UN, because China is now the second biggest funder now. It has its own interest there. It sees itself as more bilaterally capable of doing things in Myanmar. So why invoking R2P and invite the rest of the community, international community inside Myanmar? I don't see that being in the interest of Myanmar. But the rest of the world can talk in this term, just to help ASEAN act easier on this. ASEAN can say, hey, look, Germany, France are saying this. You need to let us do more. You need to listen to us more, or else they will do 1, 2, 3. Right? But it's completely missing that kind of rhetoric during this conflict.
Well, scholarly speaking, we won't say the norm is invoked if the language is not used, more or less. So it has to be formally kind of invoked to have some evidence that it's actually been accepted, and then the action was done under this kind of umbrella norm. And it has become very clear as well that R2P is kind of reserved for man-made disaster, and maybe not. I mean, it was kind of evoked during Nargis, but later the comfort level of countries tend to be for man-made disaster in order to invoke R2P. I hope we can maybe take one final last question from the room. Yes, please. Okay, maybe two. But then those of you and then Dr. Fuadi can deal with it like both together. Please.
Okay. Good morning, Dr. Fuadi. So I just have one very personal question for students, Myanmar students here in Thailand. Like, so we know that now we have a lot of ED plus visa issue, and also like for them to legally work in Thailand's issue. So and that situation kind of like forced a lot of skilled graduates to move back to Myanmar, or stay illegally here in Thailand, or move very far away to UK, US. So so I just want to know personally, what do you think that can be done by Thai government to really help these skilled graduates in the short term or long term? Thank you.
Please identify yourself as well. Oh,
Hi, my name is Lin. I'm from Malaysia.
Thank you. Okay, please.
Uh,
We'll take it. Sorry, we take it.
Hello, my name is Parish. I'm Thai, and I just have one question. I'm sorry if it has already been answered, but I just want to know that how should Thailand and ASEAN go about helping ethnic minorities in states with a mix of ethnicities such as the Shan state without aggravating the opposition? because there are two ethnic armed organizations in the Shan state which have fought before over the land, the TNLA and the RCSS. So I just want to know.
What's the question again? Sorry.
I just want to know how should Thailand and ASEAN go about helping ethnic minorities in states with a mix of ethnicity, such as like the Shan state, where there's the Tang people and the Shan people.
Wow. The second question, I haven't, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. But if you look at national interests of Thailand, I think it could be issue-based. I don't think it should be ethnic-based in any way, right? I mean, if it's an issue about drugs, then Thailand deal with drugs. It doesn't matter who are the perpetrators. Thailand should protect its interests. If the issue is leakage, pollution from rare earths, then Thailand should take initiative to do something about that. Doesn't matter if those rare earth mine in Kachin State, in Wa State, under control of RCSS, under control of TNLA. I don't think it should matter. I think it should be Thai national interest based. But even that, I don't know if Thailand define our interests beyond the border. I think we are very reluctant to go across border and protect our interests 5, 10, 20, 30 kilometers on the other side. But I think there is an argument because a lot of non-traditional security threats now are cross borders, right? Pollutions, not just water leakage from mines, but also haze as well, drugs, all these. Thailand can invoke a similar logic to constructive intervention, flexible engagement to do something. I think there is a legitimate right to think about this. But philosophically, right, this would be called, there's a term for this, it's called enlightened self-interest. You define your self-interest based on the fact that you do good to other people. Right, you help other people, you go help Myanmar people do their mines better, plant agriculturally, better stop burning. Eventually it helps them and it helps you as well. I think Thailand is still define our self-interest in along the borders. I don't think we think strategically enough, and I don't think we are open enough. I think we ought to move that way, define our interests beyond our borders and act on it. I think we have a legitimate right to act on it because this issue affect us in a big way as a country that shares the longest borders with Myanmar. And I don't think it should be ethnic based. I think it should be Thai interest based, and whatever ethnicity will help Thailand protect its interests and also help them as well. I think Thailand should do that. The first question, when I was in the US, I finished my undergrad there, and the US has this thing called OPT, optional practical training visa, right? So for 12-month periods, if you finish a university in the US, you have a legitimate period of 12 months to stay and work in the US to try to find a job and find a sponsor so that that employer can sponsor you to stay. I think it changed a little bit after Trump, but I think that is a good model, right? With if Myanmar student, ASEAN student, foreign student study and finish university in Thailand, they should be able to stay for a certain period to work in Thailand to try to find a job. And I think the government or Thailand should look at this as from national interest perspective, because that would help justify. There may be backlash, right? I mean, from the conservative, but if you can justify that this is help Thailand with national interest, we lack skilled labor, we lack manpower because Thailand is an aging society, right? I think we are the third lowest birth rate in the world or something like that, and we have a much bigger problem than Singapore and Japan. Japan will become aging society, but they are already developed. Thailand is developing and is aging society. So if we can build discourse, build narrative in terms of this will help Thailand enlighten self-interest, you help other people so that it help ourselves, I think it could work. And there was a case in point. I don't know if you follow, there was an incident when 𝐿𝐥𝐻𝐻, an MP from Move Forward Party, Kun Tisana spoke in the parliament that we have to help our Myanmar friend because of human rights, because of democracy. We need to help them. A lot of backlash. There was a hashtag Myanmar People's Party, right? Or instead of Thai People's Party. But then Rome, other MPs, another MP came out to try to reframe the narrative, justified that, hey, we help Myanmar people because they help address our own issue, help fix our own problem. It is in our national interest to do this. And I think the pressure, the backlash died down a little bit. I think it could work. And you see some movement. The fact that Thailand agree to the fact to let those who have stayed in Thailand for 40 years along the camp to be able to work now, I think that is a progress, right? That is some shift in recognition that it is within Thai national interest to let these people work and take care of themselves. And you see on social media, the backlash against that is less. And I think this is quite interesting as well. So there is some hope within Thailand. And if I have my way, I would do this OPT visa thing that allow people who are trained in Thailand to stay in Thailand for some period to try to find a job. Yeah, thank you.
Please join me in a round of applause to thank Dr. Fuadi again. And on behalf of the Faculty of Legal Science, Chulalongkorn University, Nelson Mandela Center for Conflict Resolution, Atrocity Prevention, and Human Security, I'd like to thank also the Hanns Seidel Foundation for the support. Thank you very much, Dr. Fuadi, as always, and thank you all participants for being here. Please stay tuned for our next public seminar, which is scheduled to happen next year, and have the good rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.